Welcome everyone to the last episode of the year for the ATX DAO Podcast. We have Luke, we have Ash, and myself chatting through all of the crypto craziness that happened over this past year in 2025. We'll also be chatting through some 2026 predictions as well. So we put together a few questions, just going to hash this out and see where it takes us. So to start us off for 2025, we thought the first question on the docket for today would be, what were the biggest winners of the year? So Ash, biggest winners of the year, whether that's companies, whether that's sectors, whether that's individuals, what comes to mind for the biggest winners of 2025?
So I think my biggest winner, and actually you might be surprised, listeners might be like, oh, this guy actually has a strain of logical thoughts this time, because I actually made notes on this shit this time. So I think my two biggest winners is obviously one, Bitcoin ETFs. Huge. ETH ETFs. ETFs in general for crypto was wild this year. But I think that the real winner, in my opinion, was Coinbase. They kind of with all their efforts with Stand With Crypto leading up to the Trump administration coming in, they kind of really killed it. Base also really being successful. They've kind of become the Amazon of crypto services for the industry. And that is amazing. Hands down, I give flowers to that entire team. They are amazing. They have to be the number one thing that's been amazing this year. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, Coinbase has done some awesome things, whether it's launching their credit card, whether it's the Base app, whether it's the, I think they just announced that they're going to be able to do, you can trade stocks with Coinbase now. And so yeah, I mean, I definitely kudos to them on everything that they're doing.
Yeah. And I honestly think that they really, the Stand With Crypto movement, Mason's a big part of it and stuff like that. Him and everyone there, they really laid the groundwork and did the work, in the shadows for us to kind of have all the wins that we have in the industry this year, right? We could have been looking at an unfavorable administration that's towards crypto, and that would have been, an absolute zero for our investments or our projects, So yeah, I mean, in a way, if I ever see Brian Armstrong, it's thank you for your service, bro. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fucking work that you guys did. So yeah.
Yep, 100%.
What about you? What do you guys think?
Similar to Coinbase, I have for 2025, the biggest winner was prediction markets, particularly poly market. So when you think back a year ago, it was coming off the 2024 presidential election. The general sentiment was, all right, prediction markets had their moment in time, but they're going to fall off. They don't really have true product market fit. The staying power isn't quite there. But poly market showed it had a bit of a drawdown in the middle of the year following the tariff meltdown and all that craziness. But volumes have rebounded and have actually exceeded what they were in the presidential election at the end of 2024. So, you've seen continued integrations with CNN. They have integrations, or I believe that's Kalshi, but they have integrations with Coinbase. They have integrations with these traditional mainstream media players. So yeah, prediction markets, biggest winner of 2025.
Smart. Yeah, I mean, that was really kind of a big question on everyone's minds. It's do they have staying power, right? And really this kind of it seemed like the election was just the tip of the iceberg, because they were oh, now everyone can come in and then bet on everything else, right? They just grew their market base horizontally, huge. So yeah, I mean, that's a smart one. Good pick.
Yeah. And for mine, I think you could probably argue that it was a 2024 win, but Stand With Crypto, I think definitely, with everything that they've done, because we saw the impact of it in 25. So a lot more comfort from a regulatory perspective on what you can actually do. And I think that's why we start seeing, all of these institutions getting more involved, getting actual real use cases built on chain. So I would say Stand With Crypto would be mine.
Yeah, that's smart. Shout out to Mason, maybe surprise guest at the party tonight. So we'll see.
Oh, that's right. He is coming.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, shifting gears, let's chat through. So as far as biggest losers of the year, Luke, does anything come to mind as far as biggest losers of 2025?
Man, so the thing that I am most bummed about, so what actually got me into crypto in the first place was NFTs. And I feel like there's maybe been a few not so bad ones, but I haven't seen a lot of love on the NFT side of the world. And I don't know if it's coming back. I would love for it to. I have some NFTs still in my bags, but yeah, I think that people are now like meme coins kind of took away all of their all of the attention that would have gone to NFTs in the past, and so yeah, so that's going to be it for me.
What about you, Tom? What do you think?
My biggest loser were the wannabe crypto bros punting meme coins. I say that because in 2024, like meme coins had their moment, had crazy volumes, particularly on Solana, and that for the most part has fallen off a cliff. Seen some data where it's like, 95+% of people trading meme coins lose money. So yeah, everyone's starting to run out of money that you can gamble and be this degenerate with. And yeah, not a lot of winners out there as far as meme coins for 2025. So biggest loser.
Yeah.
The wannabe crypto bros punting meme coins.
Yeah, maybe one of them got their jaw broken by Anthony Joshua this recently too. So, but yeah, I completely agree. Good takes. My thing is tourist L1s. I think that there was a lot of projects in that went on chains that didn't have product market fit, and chains that were like funded that didn't really have product market fit, and built zombie DeFi, like early iterations of some of the stuff that we did on an existing chain that was been around forever. Like we saw groundswell of catering to that meme market, and there was a real pullback on that stuff, and we built all this infrastructure and scaffolding for it, and there wasn't a there wasn't customer base there. So I think looking back on it, it's a good lesson for me as a founder, but also I just think if we were looking at losers, like I would put myself into that loser category of like zombie DeFi and tourist L1s, like just didn't really get shit done. I mean, there's a lot of them that we can name, but I just don't want to, point out to those people specifically or those chains specifically. But yeah, I would say that was really disappointing this year, but it is what it is. Take the wins and the losses.
Absolutely. All right, moving things along. As far as the single biggest event or day in crypto over this past year, I'll start us off, which is, for me, it's the passing of the Genius Act. So having clear regulation regarding stablecoins here in the United States is, quite frankly, I think going to change the financial future of dozens and dozens of emerging market countries. You will see citizens in these third world countries choosing to save in stablecoins, in the US dollar. And, it's just the beginning. So biggest, most impactful day within, probably the most significant financial legislation passed in past few decades. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, biggest single day for me is the passing of the Genius Act in 2025.
That's pretty good. That's a good one.
That was a good one. When I saw that question, I was thinking on the downside of it. So I was thinking 10-10.
Yes.
So that was a rough day, but I prefer your point of view on looking at the bright side and the good side. So I'm gonna switch mine over to
the general optimist. I try to be, but yes.
Yes.
My thing's Bybit hack. Yeah. Funnily on the way here, I was deciding should I just put on my Bybit scarf and show up? On my part of my holiday Christmas cheer or whatever. Bybit hack was huge, really bad. But I also think it was kind of cool. It was good to see a founder also go on to, how you respond to your falls is very interesting, right? Because it's a moment to make it into a stepping stone or a roadblock for you, right? And the founder literally went on a call a few hours later or something like that, and had a very calm, cleared, measured response. Talked about how their crisis team is managing it, what they're going to do, and they had a good kind of resolution for it. And it's that's a make or break fucking thing, right? Because it's dude, North Koreans were yo, I'm gonna take your shit for $2 billion. That's fucking insane, bro. So, and then he's just yeah, I know we ate shit, but we're dealing with it and we're gonna do better and solve it. I'm that's fucking amazing resolve, right? I know personally, I don't think I would have had the resolve to go on there on anything like that and then be that calm and collected to give that measured response. I'm not there at that level yet, but kudos to them and the CEO for doing that. I would say biggest fucking thing for me was holy shit. Wow. Yeah. Sorry I erred on the negative there, but yeah.
Okay. Well, 2025, it's it was such a roller coaster year. You could certainly do the positive route. You could certainly do the negative route. We've had plenty of both. So,
yeah. Crypto is always a roller coaster. Yeah.
absolutely. I think this year was no exception. And in my opinion, I think this was the most like highs and lows the industry has faced. I mean, like thinking about the highs, the first real legislation that was passed in the United States.
Yeah.
You had Bitcoin all-time highs. Ethereum like basically touched all-time highs. Industry as a whole reached over $4 trillion. So it's like all these positives. You have all this momentum. You have Robinhood building out its own L2. You have all these real world businesses integrating with crypto. At the same time, you had 1010, you had the tariff madness in April. So it's just like, man, the definition of a roller coaster year, and a lot of dispersion within the market. So yeah, plenty of ways to take it as we continue to chat through.
Yeah, I almost wanted to be like Melania and Trump coin. I mean, like kind of legendary, right? Like whether you like the administration and what's happening out recently and all this stuff, but for the industry, like it's been great, right? And it's kind of legendary to be like, holy shit, like he launched his own coin, bro. Like kind of wild. Yeah. Also Libra token, another crazy one. Insane year, man. Like, wild.
Speaking of the Trump coin, I remember when it was the day before he was elected or like took office, right? Yeah. So that day, Solana goes to like $300, hits its all-time high. Trump, I think at its peak was like close to $80 billion.
Insane.
In like market cap value, which is the single biggest capital raise within the like shortest amount of time, I think, in human history.
Yeah.
And at the point, I was like, all right, if the president of the United States is doing this, like it's opening up the floodgates to allow any creator to do this, people to, it's like name it, image and likeness within the NCAA, but you can do that within the crypto world and create your own coin, create your own community. And I was like, all right, this is what's going to take off in 2025. Like, this is just the starting gun.
Yeah.
In retrospect, that was the biggest top signal you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just crazy to look back on that moment. But, yeah, that was obviously a crazy freaking day.
Yeah, just wild, man. Crypto. Never a boring fucking moment.
Never a boring moment. All right, so moving along to our next question we have here, which is, so Ash, for one word or phrase to describe crypto in 2025, what comes to mind?
You might have seen it in some of the stuff, like even if you've been watching the pod, like I've been kind of cleaning up more and like wearing button-down shirts at times, maybe a jacket. So I would go with institutional lock-in, right? Like I think this is the year that we've really seen not only with the ETFs, but a lot of major financial institutions and like real industries starting to be like, hey, we should start leveraging this tech stack. And as a result, like I think it's the grownups have finally entered the room and they're starting to see all the Mountain Dew and Gatorade and the Hot Pockets and all this shit. And once again, I'm dating myself because this is how my childhood was, basically.
Sounds great.
Also, who am I kidding? It was part of my adulthood as well. But like, I think that they've finally come in and it's like, holy shit, like they're not going back. So that would be my big take on it. And I don't think like, yeah, for better or for worse, we're kind of coupled now. I'm not really seeing an uncoupling happening or decoupling happening anytime soon. So yeah.
Awesome. Luke?
Yeah, so before I get to mine, I just have to say, so I had that same feeling that you're talking about right now. So I'm hopefully going to be able to transition full-time into Web3. And I was so excited to not have to wear a damn suit and tie anymore.
Yeah.
And now I have to wear a damn suit and tie again. It's like, what the heck? I was getting ready to finally wear hoodies and like all that. And no, I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to have to keep wearing this like suit and tie. Maybe I can keep some Jordans instead of dress shoes. But
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, you're like all business up top, party on the bottom, bro.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I think for me, I don't know if it's a specific word that I could land on, but I think it's more real things being built on chain. So not necessarily just, just trading the tokens, but actually building stuff that actually uses the infrastructure and that kind of thing. So probably the place it all comes from at a whole is just no more Gensler.
Yeah.
And so whatever that word or phrase might be, I think that's to me the one that defines 25 is that we're no longer, enforcement after the fact. The
hostile stepdad has been removed.
Yes, that's right.
Those are both great. My phrase was preteen pubescent madness. So I believe that we are sort of living through this like coming of age within crypto. It's been around for 15 years. It's very akin to a teenager. Like, where I think we're going 15 years from now is much more mature institutionalized, as we had mentioned. And so I think the roller coaster ride of 2025 is just like, the mood swings of a teenager. So that's how I describe crypto broadly in 2025.
Yeah. That sounds about right, really.
Yeah.
It is kind of like crypto's markets are kind of like a 13-year-old just throwing a temper tantrum, right? It is kind of wild. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for our next question, Luke, I'll throw it over to you. And we can do a 2-for-1 right here. So I have best investment of the year and worst investment of the year in 2025.
All right. Wow. Well, if you look at my bags, I probably am the right one to answer the worst investment. So best, it's just really a hard time to say that, but I guess I have to say Bitcoin. I mean, it's obviously not up right now, but compared to some of the other tokens that are out there, I'd say that's probably the best. I mean, you could argue that just keeping it in stables was the right thing to do, but yeah, that's probably what I would say. Worst would be pretty much any meme coin I bought. So yeah, but probably not the best answer, but curious what y'all have.
I think part of the suit and tie thing too for me is like I think best investment ETFs. Like honestly, all the grown-ups I've talked to, it was really hilarious. Like 2023, 2024, they would be like, "Oh, he's in crypto. What is he? I can't even take him seriously." Like he's like his lights on in the house like at like random periods of time. It's like, what is he even doing in there? I don't know, right? And then all of a sudden, going to a period where like all the respectable grown-ups in the neighborhood are like, "Oh, you're in crypto, huh? Like I've got money in an ETF now," and I'm like, well, you see, this is what it is. So I think like best investment of the year, probably ETFs. Like got way more people in. The adults have come in because the adults have built these products and now they feel comfortable about using these ETFs rather than owning the underlying asset. Now, people can be neither here nor there of like saying, hey, you should own your own keys, own your custody and all this stuff. But nonetheless, money is flown in and it is grown up money. It's country club money. It's banking money. It's like people who work at clinics and offices and they're all coming in, which is kind of cool. I think worst investment of the year would be probably social or creators in crypto. Like worst. Like, I mean, Farcaster is pivoting away from like being a social platform now. Farcaster's been great. Like we've also been like asking ourselves these questions like off the mics at times, like how often are we using any of this stuff? And like, honestly, it seems like maybe I'm speaking for y'all here and correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like the only big social thing that we really use is probably Twitter. Right. So yeah, I would say worst investment of the year, probably Web3 social, right? Like kind of sad. A lot of innovations and cool stuff built out there, but nothing really, there was no like catch fire ignition moment, So yeah.
Yeah. All great points. I think for me, best investment of the year was privacy coins, particularly Zcash.
Yeah.
So, over the past few months, seeing quite the resurgence in popularity. You have KOLs like Naval and you have Mert that are like really diving in and sharing the Zcash story. Before the call, I saw it's up like 800% this year.
Yep.
Probably wish I bought some of that. But yeah, so I'd say best investment has been Zcash. And then as far as the worst investment, I have two here. So one is Barachain, which was like one of those, more emerging newcomer L1s onto the scene.
Yeah.
Doing some research and prep for this, I saw like stablecoin, like TVL fell like 90%. Mm-hmm. There's just not a lot of activity, not a lot of daily active users. Like everything related to that chain is looking pretty rough. And then also Celestia, which is, the data availability gem, although the market does not seem to be respecting or pricing anything in as far as, giving credit to data availability. And that's down like 90+% this year. So Barachain, Celestia, worst investment of the year. And we'll see what 2026 brings. So to wrap up 2025 and before we dive into 2026 predictions, did want to briefly chat through, any big takeaways we have as we reflect on this past year and, what looms ahead. So is there anything that comes to mind, Luke, on your end as far as biggest takeaways of this past year?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest takeaway in general is just holding things that I have conviction in. And I think that's maybe not unique to 2025, but I think that the idea of like speculation and trying to get things that are just a short turnaround kind of things, for me, is just not really what I'm interested in. I saw a lot of people feel a lot of pain on 1010 with like the different, things that they did, and just holding spot just in something that I believe in just didn't give me that. So I think that's to me what it was. I'm not saying that that's investment advice for other people, but just holding what you have conviction in, I think, is a big one for me.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
What do I have here? For me, I think it's just like how early we are to the industry. Well, I think speaking of 1010, like, for those that don't know, on October 10th, you had basically the tail end of risk assets within crypto fell 50, 60, 70+% in a single day. And so you had billions and billions of dollars wiped out within the crypto market. I think, I don't even know, but it was the single biggest drop in market cap within the crypto industry was on October 10th. That was because President Trump literally tweeted one thing about implementing tariffs on China. And at the time, Bitcoin's at all-time high. There's a ton of momentum within the crypto industry. Everything's looking amazing going into the golden bull run of Q4. And one tweet is sent out, and everyone that's levered up is just wiped out, and people lost a bunch of money. If I think about the parallels of the crypto industry versus the traditional markets, it's like, all right, traditional markets is down 5-10%. Crypto's down 50%. And what that tells me is just, man, we are so early to this. Buckle in, it's going to be a roller coaster, but yeah, we're just so early.
Yeah, that's a solid point. I mean, 1010 really like changed people's lives in terms of a loss porn harvesting. Like, it was fucking brutal to watch it across everywhere. My thing is not necessarily date specific or product specific. I think it's just more general. I think I've come to the conclusion that tokens are amplifiers. And as a builder, you should focus on the product, right? Focus on your product, and tokens just amplify the goodness or the badness of your product. And so you should try and really build real things, like build things that are into payment, into infra, into stables, and then really focus on that. And then focus on, if it's consumer, like focus around the experience rather than just being like, oh, I'm just going to launch a token and then I'll build everything around this token. Like, how many times have we seen that? Like, we all know shit that we've talked about like throughout the entire year where it's like, that's never worked out well. I think it's like probably, I don't know, this is not me speculating on the vibe of these teams or these founders, but it's like, I think like if you get like $100 million almost like in day zero, then the question is like, do you have the fire to like make that 100 million to $1 billion? I just don't know if that's the case. And it just seems to be proven that like, at least the market wise, that like you get these huge pumps through token launches and a lot of narrative hype, and that doesn't result in an actual product. And that's a big problem. So that's the big thing that I've learned and take away from this year, to be honest.
Awesome. Love it. Anything else 2025?
I think that's it for me. By the way, Ash, can you scoot in just a touch?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
It's cutting off your face.
Sorry.
We have our best friend Bear recording for those that can't hear.
There he is. He's like, hey, you mentioned my name. Here I am. He's like, you know what I could do? It's some pets, and I will give you a lot of fur all over your nice new Christmas jacket. So, yeah.
All right. So keep things moving as far as 2026 predictions. So, big question on everyone's mind is like, all right, crypto 12 months from now, are we, going to follow the 4-year cycle? We're, just at the beginning stages of this upcoming 12, 18-month period where crypto is going to go down dramatically. Or are we in this new era, this new institutional era as far as crypto growth and adoption where a 4-year cycle is irrelevant? It's independent, not going to, follow the 4-year halving cycle as people have thought for the past 12 years, whatever. So curious, like Ash, your thoughts, crypto 12 months from now, higher, lower? Do we stay the same? Where are we?
I don't know. I don't know if we're higher or lower. My thing is that I think quantitative easing is going to happen, whether we like it or not. And as a result, I think that we're going to see some more modest cash flows coming into ETFs in a lot of the industry and through via institutional mechanisms. But then I have a feeling that we're going to have to pay, the bill comes due, and there's going to be a violent like reshifting of those cash flows just going out. So we have a huge liquidity crunch. And I think products that are built around just like, liquidity farming or incentive farming that way are going to get wrecked like pretty fucking bad. Like even blue chips are going to get wiped out. So I think it's going to look like a bloodbath. The question is like whether it's going to happen a Q1 or Q2. I don't know. I haven't. Like I told the guys, like I spend most of my fucking holidays, like honestly, just like eating cookies and just reading and just like growing a beard and getting fat. Zero discipline on anything.
The American dream.
Exactly right. Yeah. I'm gonna make a heel turn and launch my own coin in the middle at the end of this. But like I think, yeah, that's my thing. I think that modest cash flows in liquidity infusion followed by a violent reset at some point, maybe Q2, Q3. And it's not going to look pretty at that time. But I mean, if you have built shit that, and I'm only speaking from a build perspective, not a trading perspective, that like if you've built shit that is following the tenets of a good product, it is plugged into these institutional flows or consumer flows, and that's the main kind of thing that gets you real fees and real revenue, I think you're going to be fine. But I think if it's like built around like, I'm going to have these crazy mechanisms for creating buybacks for this token or whatever that even has perceived utility, I think you're fucked. And I think even the blue chip chains, blue chip protocols are going to come to have a real reckoning.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I think you said it really well. But just the part that I would say is I think that we might see still some remnants of the 4-year cycle. But I think for the most part, like you're saying, I think it's because there's so much institutional and mainstream involvement in it, it's going to follow whatever pattern the rest of the investment market does. So yeah, don't know the timing for it, but I think totally agree with what you're saying too about the types of tokens that are going to not be as impacted.
Yeah, because it's like all the meme stuff is wiped out, right? Like all the social stuff is wiped out. Like I think creator coins are going to die pretty quickly, pretty fast again, because you need like frothy liquidity for that. And I just think like when the liquidity really stops coming, like, and you can hear the music stop, like it's just like the game of musical chairs is done. So I don't think it's like scorched earth, like Bitcoin goes to zero, but I think that expect huge drawdowns on like all the blue chip chain assets, blue chip protocol assets across the board. So yeah. What about you?
So general thoughts is I think early in the year, crypto will do well. Towards the end of the year, I'm skeptical. But before we go down this drawdown path, I do think Bitcoin will reach a new all-time high. I do think the majors will, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all three of those, I believe, will reach an all-time high. I believe that because I think Trump will institute this new Fed chair. I think they will be cutting rates. I think that will get priced in. And I think, the market will front-run that. So that's anticipated to be in May. And that timing could work out very well as far as a potential market structure bill. So I think that's, as we get later on to the episode, I do think that will get approved and passed in the first half of the year. So I think there's just this like perfect storm and we'll fuel this crypto craziness, madness, bull run in the first half of the year. And then second half of the year, I'm a little bit more skeptical, but I do think we will see all-time highs for the majors in 2026.
Yeah, don't sell your bags anytime soon is what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
No. All right. So speaking of which, as far as like underappreciated tailwind or headwind going into 2026. So for me, that is like, all right, we had talked about the Fed chair and we talked about market structure bill. What else comes to mind? And for me, it's AI being this existential threat as far as there's enough people within the Trump administration that believe, all right, whoever wins the AI race is the leader in technology and economics and life sciences and, military. So in order for the US to remain supreme within all these industries, like we need to embrace AI. And in doing so, I think, it's this perfect storm of like, all right, we're cutting rates. We're going to flood the market with a bunch of cash and we're going to continue this AI bubble, if you will. And so I think that's not being priced in currently. I think, Trump and the administration will run the economy hot. And, we'll see how it all ends up. But I think that's an underappreciated tailwind going into the new year.
Yeah, that makes sense. My thing is underappreciated tailwind is probably stables. I think they're eating payments and infra. Like it's happening at an unprecedented rate. Like, and institutions can get on the bandwagon or not. And yeah, that genie is never going to get put back in the bottle, right? And talking about running the economy hot means that like you want things, money flow has to be quicker and faster. And I think stables are just a way better mechanism to do that with guardrails that are already set in place. Underappreciated headwind, I think, as a second half of that, I think will be KYC, AML regulation coming in around all this stuff. Like, I think USDT has done a phenomenal job. I think that they're great, but I think, don't let the equity drawdown on Circle like fool you. Like, it's only going to be something that in that form factor that institutions and governments are going to let run. It's not going to be like, hey, I'm a trusted third party. Trust me, bro. I have treasuries and I can only show you my books to certain people that are going to do this. Nothing against Tether, to be clear. But when I really think about what's going to happen, that genie out of the bottle, that's going to be KYC, email, regulated kind of USDC style stable coins and stuff like that coming out. So, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. No, I think I can definitely see that as well. Like, in terms of like, it's not as permissionless as you want it to be with.
But it's still way better than what we have right now, right? It's kind of like, if you just think about the current monetary system, it's kind of like funny. Like, you drive down a road here and someone's like trying to be like, hey, can you give me some cash? And it's like, dude, I don't even carry cash. I don't even carry a wallet, really. Like, I don't carry anything with me. Like, it's just like maybe my phone and my ID. So I think that that's going to accelerate even further, like where we're having this departure and this electronic cash methodology is going to get even further and further. But like, in order for that to really be adopted by large players, it's going to have to be regulated in terms of KYC, AML. Like, we cannot have, dollars that are just printing out with nothing that's backed there. Then it's just like we have perpetual quantitative easing possibly happening and no one knows what's really happening there. Right.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep, makes sense.
Luke, anything that comes to mind?
Nothing that y'all haven't already covered. I think, y'all covered it well.
Cool. All right. Well, Luke, I'm happy to pass this next one over to you, which is the best non-crypto investment to hold going into 2026.
Best non-crypto investment.
I can start us off if you need some time to think.
Yeah, go. Why don't you go ahead and start us?
Sure. So for me, I have been doing a bit of a deeper dive into Rivian, the car company. So, tech adjacent. So high level thesis is they're massively scaling production. They are going into a rate cutting environment, which will be good for new car sales. And then I also, from like a TA perspective, the chart looks like a thing of beauty. Like, it had its 2021 IPO. It was like 40-ish dollars. Fell down to like 10. So it's like, 90+% fall from highs. And it's just starting to tick upwards again. And so it's like, I'm not a big draw some triangles on the chart type of guy. But enough people on the timeline have been drinking the Kool-Aid and I'm here for it. So Rivian, non-crypto company to hold in 2026.
All right. So that I've actually been thinking about buying a Rivian.
Nice.
So not ready to do it just yet. But so it's a good investment, yeah. Both, I guess, both the car and the stock.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Good to know. Well, I mean, if you look at today, I think silver is the best investment, right? Like,
Totally.
I think even Beeple did a Michael Saylor silver piece this morning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think, gosh, it's a tough one. I don't know that I have a good answer for what I want to invest in besides crypto.
Well, that's the crypto
maybe
maximalist
it's
in all of us,
Coinbase.
right?
I don't know. I guess that's crypto, but it's their stocks.
Well, for me, I think if it was in crypto, I would say RWAs, anything that's doing RWAs, it's going to have a huge year this year is my thesis. So allocating as an angel to companies that are doing RWAs in energy spaces, RWA in commodities and stuff like that, huge. Also working at one of these places, huge, especially as early team founding, huge. So I would think that category there. Anything non-crypto itself, I would say I'm going to be pretty boring. I'm going to say allocate to energy. Just allocate to energy. Like, if I don't know where you're listening from, but like, honestly, like in Austin, it was 80-degree weather last week. And then it went to 50-degree weather this week. It's extremely volatile. Volatility with the markets, volatility with the weather means that you need stable energy. And I think anything in that sector, you could pick your thing. If you're a hippie and you want to just allocate to solar and wind farms, I think you're going to win. I think that if you allocate to nuclear, you're going to win. I think if you allocate to oil and gas, I think you're going to win. So I think that sector itself is just going to kind of rip. As everything, DYOR, NFA, this is not financial advice. Go talk to your person, or it's Miss Cleo. I don't know. But like, yeah, I think that's non-crypto. That's got to be it.
100%. Yeah, I think it's a great call. All right, so shifting back into crypto as far as the best performing sector of 2026. So a couple of things that come to mind is like, all right, DePIN, DeFi, consumer, or NFTs make it come back. Like, what comes to mind, Ash, for you as far as the best performing sector in crypto in 2026?
I don't know. Like, I'm kind of hit or miss in wanting to say DeFi because I think that we're coming into this dividend era, right? Or this rewards era that's like, Coinbase doing it and everything like that. And all these DeFi protocols also starting to do it as well. So my gut really wants to push towards DePIN. I think DePIN's going to have its real moment like coming up. I think we're going from the digital space to the meat space, and that aligns well with the RWA kind of like commodities and all this stuff that's going to be happening. And I think companies that are working in that space and sector are generally going to be ripping. Of course, there's a lot of caveats and like, in terms of allocating or joining a team, like seeing everything that works. But like, I think DePIN, people bridging real world data into Web3 kind of stacks going to be huge.
Totally. Me personally, I put down DeFi. So earlier this year we saw Coinbase integrate Morpho.
Yeah.
So Morpho is this borrow lending pool that you can put USDC or various crypto assets into and borrow and lend against it, and you can receive like higher APYs than a traditional bank account. And Morpho saw like $1 billion in inflows in a matter of months. And that's just one company and Coinbase doing it. I think you'll see the big banks in the world start to dip their toe in the water in 2026. And, following the approval of a market structure bill, I think really opens the floodgates. So I think DePIN will be, broadly speaking, the highest performing sector in 2026.
Yeah. And then along those lines, like I think I'm obviously a little biased with the Avalanche stuff, but I think some of the boring things that we don't think about, just like using the infrastructure for what it needs to be done. So like Toyota just launched 3 chains recently on Avalanche. All of the tracking of their logistics, the cars once they're built, all of that just runs there. California DMV. So I think things that are maybe not necessarily speculative, but they offer an actual value of the chain, of the record, that kind of thing. So I guess you could say that would be RWAs or DePIN combined.
Totally.
That makes sense.
All right. Next up, we have which layer 1 is the most prime for growth in 2026? I'm happy to start us off here because rather than Luke, who is the big Avalanche bull, I'm jumping on the Avalanche bandwagon. Book it.
Love it.
It's happening.
Yes.
It's working.
It is working.
All of my brainwashing has worked.
So, as I'm preparing for this episode, Masari, they put on this, 2026 year predictions or year in review every year. And it's always a great read. And as I was looking through it, I stumbled upon a research article on Avalanche that showed metrics for Q3. And I'll read a few of these because it's pretty incredible. So you have transaction fees in USD is up 80% quarter over quarter. You have DeFi total value locked up 40%. You have average daily DEX volumes up 180%, and stable coins up 20%. And this is all quarter over quarter. You're seeing tremendous growth within the Avalanche ecosystem. Following the aftermath of 1010, it's been beaten down a little bit. And so I think it's, it will correct itself over the coming months ahead, and feel very strongly that Avalanche is positioned to do great things in 2026. So I'm jumping on.
Nice.
I love it. I wholeheartedly concur with what you said.
I'm not going to say AVAX. I actually have 2, and I have 2 categories. The second category is undefined, but I just think it's in this general thing. So let's start with that. I think it's going to be some privacy specific L1. I don't know what it is yet. Like, which infra are they going to use? Like, what are they going to ship on it? Is it going to be app specific? Is it going to be, what's the language on it and all that stuff? I don't know. But my gut tells me that if you were making a bet, it would be probably an L1 an emergent L1 or a chain in some functionality that's going to be very privacy specific. And I think it's going to be the thing because they're going to launch with like something for settlements, something with payments, good UX flow, and it's going to be a killer thing. Because I think anyone who's building something like that, they've been building in the shadows probably this year and then the year before. And they've looked at a lot of the failings and lessons from like these tourist L1s and some of the chains that like, made the mistakes of launching the token before the thing, not having the actual product delivery, having huge valuations, but nothing actually coming to fruition, not having good partner alignment. I think that's going to be pretty big. And then the first category would be, I think it's got to be Ethereum or Solana still. I mean, I had a chance to listen to that guy, Thomas, like speak. He's the new guy from the Ethereum Foundation. I got to tell you that, I mean, I'm blessed in that, like, I get a chance to, like, interact, like, with you guys and, like, a bunch of other smart people in the entire space. And I think it was, like, one of the best talks that I've listened to this entire year. And I'm pretty bullish on this guy being able to kind of steer the ship in a good way. So I'm pretty bullish on Ethereum. Also, I'm very bullish on Solana as well, because, like, they're just killing it, man. Like, I talked to a bunch of people that went to Breakpoint recently, and they were like, dude, this is amazing. The experience of going to one of their, like, conferences and then talking to all the energy there, talking to all the founders, talking to all the teams, I'm like, it's high output, high, like, optimistic, future is bright kind of, like, energy. And you can't beat that. You really cannot. Like, if you're just optimistic to a fault, right? Like, I don't care if a shit when that fault is. Like, you're just going to try and figure out how to fucking solve that fault and move on. Like, correct that fault and move on. So, and they've owned the consumer side. They've hands down. So, yeah. Pretty boring on the chain wise. Which one do I think is going to be successful? ETH and Solana. But I think the real dark horse bet is probably some L1 specific good UX with built-in payments, and maybe it's app specific, but really privacy focused. Maybe World Liberty Financial. Who knows? They did do a lot of transactions this year. So I'm sorry I should have brought in a report on that.
There you go.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up as far as questions that we wanted to chat through, but did ask each of us to put together a list of additional predictions that we have for 2026. So I'm happy to start us off. And, I'm happy to run through these, and, if at any point, happy to shut up and we can chat more about them. But I had talked about the market structure bill. I think that passes first half of 2026. If that is not passed by the time I'm hanging out on a beach for July 4th, I don't believe it will get passed in 2026. So I think it's first half of the year or it's not going to happen. And then as the market structure bill passes, I think crypto will go on this monster rally. So I believe the total crypto market will exceed $5 trillion. It's currently, give or take, a little over $3 trillion today. So, pretty sizable growth there. And then as far as, a couple stablecoin predictions we have to have. So today, the total stablecoin issued, total amount of stablecoins issued is approximately $300 billion. And I believe that will grow to over $500 billion in 2026. And we had talked about stablecoins and cross-border payments. McKinsey put out this report saying it's like 3% of cross-border payments is currently done through stablecoins. So we're at 3%. I believe this next year that will increase 5x to over 15%.
I think so too. I think it's going to be pretty bullish.
Yeah. So those are my two stablecoin predictions for the upcoming year. And then a big one that I think will occur in 2026 is Google or Apple or Meta will introduce a pay with crypto feature through their platform. So whether that's with stablecoins, whether that's with the native asset itself, I do think it's happening. And once that happens, once you can open your iPhone and have a pay with crypto option, it is game on. So we'll see what happens there. And then here, I'll shut up. Is there anything?
No, I love that. Like, actually, I wrote that. The stablecoin thing is one of the things that I had too. I think the most volume will settle in stablecoins and tokenized T-bills, and it will look seamlessly just like faster fintech. And I talked to a bunch of my buddies in the fintech space too, and they were like, dude, there's nothing exciting happening here. There's like nothing exciting. So I have a feeling that your prediction of it going from 3 to like maybe 10%, I think it's like a very, very real possibility of that happening.
Totally.
So yeah, I agree with that 100%.
There was a, I forget what podcast I was listening to, but they're saying as far as like new wallets that are created, I think it was for Tether specifically, they're seeing like 30 million new wallets created every single month.
Wow. That's insane.
You know, in 3 years, that's a billion people.
Yeah.
So yeah, remittance payments, cross-border payments. Western Union, I think, announced this past year that they're going to be integrating with Solana to help facilitate those cross-border payments. So yeah, it's coming. Stablecoins will eat Western Union's lunch, and they recognize it and are adopting the technology. So yeah, all exciting stuff. Then last couple of predictions I have here is building off of the theme of the institutional Wall Street money that wants to get into crypto. I think digital asset treasury companies will see a resurgence in price. So as far as companies that currently are trading above an MNAV of 1, and just for the audience, MNAV is essentially, if it's 1, that means the market is pricing the value of those digital assets with like 1-to-1 with what that current value is. So there's no like premium that's added onto it. It's not priced at a discount if it's below 1. So currently there's like 2 or 3 companies that are priced above 1 with an MNAV. And I think that we'll see over a dozen companies that will be trading with an MNAV above 1 over this coming year. So I think the market will start to price in a greater appreciation for companies that hold these digital assets on their balance sheet. And then lastly, I have more than 100 crypto ETFs will launch in 2026. So following the approval of the market structure bill, I think it's just going to be game on. Everybody's going to be wanting to launch these. Everyone's seeing the money that BlackRock is making and the success of Ethereum and Solana and all these L1s that are launching. So 100 ETF launches in 2026, crypto related.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. You actually had numbers with all of your predictions. I have no numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, those are great, Tom. And I think for me, probably the main one that I had was the stable coins. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more different entities do that. I know a lot of banks are planning on issuing stable coins, and I think we'll start to see more beyond US dollar coins too. So I think we'll start to see a lot more of it with other countries that want to have their currency on chain as well. And so I think that'll have some impacts on the FX side of things, but that was a big one for me. And then the other one I have is just seeing, like kind of like I was saying before, more like infrastructure of things that are now off chain, on chain, just using the tech. At least that's what I hope happens, because I think it's past due for us to see a lot more of that on there.
Totally. Yeah. Speaking of right now it's like 99% of all stable coins issued is within the US dollar. Do we think that starts, the euros getting on chain, pick your, other currency globally, like is US dollar just going to remain supreme and like it's going to be all USD focused? Like curious if you guys have any thoughts there as far as that branching out into these other currencies as well.
I think it depends on the economy. So I know like Japan has a stable coin on chain. I know you can get the euro on chain. It is on Avalanche. Yeah. I think that countries whose currency isn't stable probably aren't super eager to do that. But yeah, I think those that have a strong currency, I think we'll see a lot more of them on chain than we have now.
I wouldn't be surprised if like a Middle Eastern country, like maybe it's Saudi, maybe it's UAE, maybe it's Qatar, maybe it's Kuwait, Oman, one of these countries launches a stable on chain. To your point, stability is a key aspect on it. And that way, and you need KYC AML, you need some regulated pathways to get this done. You need like a bank that's well integrated and technology forward for it. My bet is that one of these countries from that part of the world launches this first and it gets real adoption. And I think that they have the ability to also integrate vertically into all their systems, right? Like where you can be like, you can actually, large percentage of the population has left the laptop generation and then gone straight to the mobile generation. So for them, they just look at their phone as a way to interact not only with the world, but also consume what the world is putting into them and to take on that payment rail for those interactions and facilitate that. And also the real world stuff. I think these guys have it down better than anyone else. So yeah, I think you're spot on. I think both of your guys' takes is right. My take is kind of in the same vein of like what you guys said about the AVAX thing. I think you guys are kind of right with the AVAX thing possibly being a big thing for next year, but I would tweak it. My thing is that in hindsight, a lot of the L1s in 2025 are fundamentally wrong. Like they just should not exist. I know this is kind of like insane. In fact, people can call me a hypocrite because like, I am a hypocrite. Fuck it. But like, And I've bought a lot of these assets. I've invested in some of these things on teams founding there, and then utilize some of this stuff. But like, I think looking at through this stuff, like, I think what we're going to see is that some of these L1s are going to get replaced by a chain or a protocol that really is offering something app specific or asset specific that just kills the actual L1's prominence. See, a lot of things has been like, oh, it's the chain first and then the protocol second. And I'm like, no, bro. I think that the pyramid's going to invert now. And it really is, it should be like that. Originally, we thought like it's a top-down design where it's like the pyramid should be the pointy part and that's the chain. And I'm like, no. It should be the exact opposite. It should be that the protocol of the application that's on the top, which is touching a bunch of users and really is getting people in the industry and then outside of the industry to come on, generating the fees, should be the thing that leads. And I think that makes more sense because these protocols are the ones that are generating the revenue and the yield itself. They're generating the fees, right? They're capturing the users. And yes, the L1 is providing the infrastructure to do that and make them successful. That's 100% right. But I think that 2026 will be like, there are like, whether it's RWAs or it's DPINs or it's protocols, but app specific kind of protocols and chains are going to dethrone a lot of the L1 kind of value. And so I think a chain having an approach where it's like, oh, where are the building blocks for you to get to that thing? I think is going to be much more poised to be successful rather than them being like, we're the chain that you should be on because like we have the biggest names. And I think it's going to be a flippening or an inversion of that pyramid. But I think it's going to be painful, but I think it's the best thing to probably happen, right? It's not like we don't celebrate AT&T and Time Warner or Google Fiber. We celebrate the things that run on top of that, right? We celebrate Polymarket and OpenAI and all this stuff as a result of the things that are built on top of it, not necessarily the things that make it. So yeah, I don't know.
It's like the refrigeration, the analogy of, all right, refrigeration was great, but like what we truly loved was Coca-Cola that was able to harness.
Exactly. And I think that's what's probably going to happen. I think there's going to be companies that are taking that Coca-Cola and then putting that out as a product, and they're going to dethrone like Frigidaire. And it's going to be kind of painful. It's going to be like, well, I invested in the infrastructure side of things. And I'm like, yeah, that's smart. That's the safe bet. But then the real value propagation comes from like these kind of like crazy swings for these huge adoptions that happen. And I think that that's going to be kind of interesting to possibly see in 2026. So, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
This is great, guys.
I know.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any wildish takes we want to throw out there? See what lands?
I don't know.
All the apps on the sandbox are going live, and they're just going to overtake Roblox and Fortnite and everything else.
I think World Liberty Financial becomes like kind of like more legitimized. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they really are going to start building out shit there. Yeah, I think that's probably going to happen.
That XRP,
Yeah, I mean, XRP is, I don't know what it is, but like XRP is like, it's like XRP has spoken a lot in like country clubs and like boardrooms and stuff like that. Like they've caught that fucking vibe like really right. It's like how Doge got to the people, like XRP got to the suits. And I don't know what the heck they're going to do with it, but people say that they're going to use that stack and build it out and all this stuff. But like, I don't know. I'm not in those rooms to really have any knowledge. So yeah.
Hear ya. No metaverse takes? No.
I don't think we're going to see the sandbox thing was a joke in case anyone didn't catch that part. But I don't think the metaverse, I personally have not been connected to anything going on there. And yeah.
No buying real estate next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse?
No, sadly not. Sadly not.
Shoot.
All my Decentraland.
I think that'll do it, everyone. So you heard it here first. 2025, quite the roller coaster, but yeah, promising times ahead. So yeah, appreciate everyone listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much,
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.